And welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, you can hit the like and subscribe down below. So today we're assembling a cylinder head, and we're on the last valve, and we're going to show you how to use one of these valve spring compressing tools. So to assemble everything, you'll need the valve, you'll need a valve spring, and you also need the retainer. This retains the spring. And you also need two of these small little keepers, which keeps the, or sometimes they're called valve locks. It keeps the retainer in place. And on this head, there's also a shim. So you got to make sure we put the shim back in there. All the other valves are shimmed, so we want to make sure. So the way this would work, of course, the retainer is going to go on top of the spring. This is going to go like so. And then on the bottom part down here, this is where the valve would set. So without further ado, let's get started. And if you hear some nasty weather out there, it's a bit of a blizzard. It's spring in Pennsylvania. So we already have the valve spring, or the valve seal in place, and we want to make sure that we take the extra step to clean the valve. You always get just a little bit of residue off of there. And then we want to lubricate the valve stem. I like this Lubricate. Keeps it from going into the head on initial startup. I'm just going to put just a drop on there. Just spread that out. Don't need much at all. And then we're going to insert the valve up into the head, and it'll just sit there. From here, almost forgot. See that? Okay, here we go. We got our shim. And there's rotators on this head, which you have to put the rotator on before you put the valve stem seal on. So from here, we're going to install our spring, making sure that it's right side up. This spring has a little bit of a taper like a beehive, so we want to make sure the small end is up. Place that on the seat here, and then our retainer, and it'll just kind of sit there for now. Now we're going to grab our tool. So this thing has, it's like a lever action. So we're going to start here, very carefully, putting this part up on the retainer, and then I'm going to slowly present the valve, the tool to the valve, and then compress it. And you don't want to overdo this. You want to compress it just enough where you can put everything together. You don't want to get into coil bind, or worse yet, getting this retainer so far down that it actually makes contact with the seal and it'll destroy the seal. So we don't want to do that. Then we're going to take a little bit of Lubricate here. Just put a little bit of that on there. And this is an old mechanics trick. For the guys who've been doing this for a long time, you'll know about this. But you put a little bit of grease on there, or in this case, this Lubricate. What it does is it helps these little keepers or valve locks to stay in place. There we go, just like so. And let's see if we can zoom that in so we get a little closer view. There we go. And then we slowly release the tool, and that is it. So we do that 16 times on this head, since it's a 4-valve per cylinder head. Do it 16 times, and we're done. Now I want to wipe this off. Then we want to look at the top of this, right where the keepers are. We have one keeper here and one keeper here. I want to make sure that these are even with one another. We don't want to have one protruding up. Sometimes what you'll see is if the valve lock isn't set right, the retainer actually set a little bit lower or a little bit higher than normal. So we compare that with all the other ones, and this one here looks like it's just like all the other ones, so we're good to go. And the valve locks are nice and level with one another. So that's what we're looking for. So before this, what we did was we actually lapped all the valves in. I have a video on that. You can look around on the channel. I'll put a link in the description for that video. It's a real cool little tool that I use, that I came up with to to help lap the valves in. This is a used head, but it was a good running motor, and it had a fresh valve job about 20 races ago, which because it was running so good, there really wasn't a need to give it a complete valve job. All we had to do was just lap the valves in and take a look at the seats and make sure everything was good. So that was fine. So if you found what you saw here today interesting or informative, go ahead and leave a comment down below. And appreciate everybody's watching, and we'll see you in the next episode, next video. Take care, guys.